There are some other important things happening that I would like to take this opportunity to mention. The government's new Australian consumer law will take effect this week from the 1st of July. This law will provide national protection against unfair contracts to all Australian consumers, including consumers of telecommunications products. Then this new law will prohibit any contract that causes a significant imbalance in the consumer's rights or obligations or causes consumer detriment. I believe this will make a big difference to the current contracts that exist in parts of the telecommunications sector, particularly in relation to some mobile phone contracts. Fair and transparent pricing is also an important element in framing the consumer interest, not least so that consumers don't get bill shock, or as ACCAN has taken describing it, eye shock. It can be a real shock to parents whose teenagers rack up high bills on things like ringtones, smartphone applications and excess data. In fact, you may have seen one of my South Australian colleagues recently. Her husband is also a member of the upper house in South Australia. And they have a government-supplied phone. And they got a ring from the department who looks after the phone bills to say, you've just racked up a $4,000 bill in 2 days. And my colleague sort of went, yes, it was real eye shock. And he quickly discovered that his son had borrowed his phone and downloaded an application. It was described as free. The download was free. The actual use of it racked up $4,000 in about an hour and a half. And this caused quite a bit of publicity, but it was one of those examples just to prove it can happen to everybody. Your kid picks up the iPhone, downloads, and you've got a $4,000 bill in a couple of hours. So this is the sort of thing that we have to continue to be vigilant about. Often this happens because charges are excessive or difficult to work out. But as much as anything, it can be difficult for people to know what their usage is to enable them to cut back as they reach whatever limits their contract allows. I mean, why don't they let you know when you're halfway through your download limit, or why don't they let you know when you're 10% away? They tell you when your phone battery is about to die. It seems pretty straightforward and simple to me. So these are the sort of things that I think we all have a challenge to lift the game in. Some of these things would seem to be reasonably easy to fix with some determined effort. We will be closely watching Communication Alliance's upcoming review of the Telecommunications Consumer Protection Code and Mobile Premium Service Industry Code to see how bill shock is addressed. And possibly one of the most important elements in thinking about the consumer interests is redress. When things go wrong, consumers need to have their problems resolved in a satisfactory and timely manner, and companies need to have the necessary incentives to act in the best interests of consumers. Since coming to government, I've been on the record numerous times saying that I have not been happy with the standard of customer service or complaint handling in the telco industry. I know I am not alone in this regard. And while there is much more work to be done in this area, in recent times we have started to put forward some changes designed to improve the situation. In April, I announced that I intended to amend the Telco Act to create a ministerial power to direct the ACMA to develop an industry standard. And just last week, I released a set of amendments to the Telco Competition and Consumer Protection Bill, which included just such a provision. This new provision will allow for the development of a consumer protection standard, which, unlike a consumer code, would be developed by the regulator, who will need to balance the interests of consumers with those of the industry. Should the current code review fail to adequately address the interests of consumers, I will have to consider exercising this new power. In addition to this planned amendment, can I take this opportunity to indicate that the government remains committed to passing the Competition and Consumer Safeguards Bill at the next opportunity when Parliament resumes. Aside from the new provision I have just mentioned, this bill also contains a number of critical provisions to reform the structure of the sector, provide the ACCC with necessary powers to perform its role effectively and strengthen existing consumer safeguards. As many of you are aware, The bill includes reforms to the Universal Service Obligation and the Customer Service Guarantee to include new minimum performance benchmarks. Consumers will retain their right to be paid financial damages when a telephone company fails to meet the CSG standards, but a failure to meet these new performance benchmarks may result in the provider paying civil penalties as well. ACCAN was influential in shaping these important reforms that will improve assistance and redress for consumers during the transition to the NBN environment and which are vital to maintaining consumer engagement in the marketplace. And I would like to thank again ACCAN for its valuable input into shaping these standards and assure you that we are doing all we can and are committed to passing these landmark reforms. If I could turn now briefly to another issue that ACCAN has provided valuable input to, the Do Not Call register. More than 4.4 million telephone numbers are now registered on the Do Not Call register. Many consumers simply don't want their details to be available to telemarketers and clearly value this consumer protection. As you would know, we recently amended the Do Not Call register legislation to enable the registration of emergency service numbers, government telephone numbers and all fax numbers. In addition, as urged by ACCAN, we enabled the registration period to be extended from 3 to 5 years. As the government develops another way to keep the register up to date, further extension of the registration period may be possible. So we've come a long way in just 2.5 years, and particularly in the 12 months since ACCAN was established. And we should be proud of these achievements we have brought for consumers. I'm particularly pleased to see how energised the consumer movement is, more than at any time that I can remember. By working together, government and industry can deliver better, more affordable services for consumers. We are in the middle of a great change in the telco sector, and we must all adapt to the digital age. While we are taking advantage of the great opportunities that the digital economy presents, we must ensure that the reforms and policies we have in place, as I said, have consumers at the centre. I look forward to hearing your views on how we tackle these challenges and what changes will still need to be implemented to ensure that consumers are properly protected. So can I again thank you and apologise. I have to race off to Sydney now to one of the things occasionally in politics you get to do, which is just really nice. For those of you who have heard of him, and I'm sure most of you have by now, Mike Quigley, the CEO of the NBN, is holding a press conference with a medical charity to announce that he's donating his entire first year's salary, which is in the millions, to this charity because he's been a committed supporter of it for many years now, and his entire first year's salary is going towards developing e-health applications that will be able to be used on the national broadband network. It's an incredibly selfless and generous thing that Mike's doing, and as I said, sometimes in politics you get to do really nice things as well as some very tough things. So good luck with the rest of your conference. I really do look forward to seeing the outcome of it. I know, as I always say with ACCAN and Alan, it will be lively, it will challenge, it will certainly challenge the government, it will challenge all of those involved, from regulators to the industry to the government, and that's exactly how it should be. So good luck and thanks very much, and congratulations on a fabulous first year to Alan and all of the team at ACCAN. Thank you very much.